Alright, so welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna start off with the weekly review first, right? So basically what happened for this week. Right, overall it has been quite a tough week. We have a major retracement that I wasn't anticipating, and at the same time it's lots of news driver events, NFP and such, right? But anyways, somehow I managed to blow that top step combine. Therefore, moving forward, I'm just gonna wait till it auto resets for the next month, right, before I continue trading live. So I'm just gonna wait it out, and at the same time I'm gonna journal the things that I thought that I could improve, and you're gonna see that progress and that journey, right, on how I'm gonna eventually get there. Okay, now with that out of the way, let's move on to the weekly forecast. Right, so over here, what do we have? We have the weekly closing above the consequent encroachment of this CB, similar to ES, right? We have this small little CB here. You might not be able to see right here, but there is a small CB down there on a weekly time frame, and we have basically closed above it, right? So for next week, what am I looking for? Obviously the low hanging fruit would be this volume imbalance for NQ. The other low hanging fruit for ES would be 50% of the week right here, or maybe even the order block right here, bearish order block, right? So this is the first low hanging fruit objectives. What I believe is going to happen is that we are going to take out this highs, this high here for NQ and this high here for ES, so all-time highs basically, right? Now what are the levels for now? We are obviously below April's opening price. That is number one. Number two, we are above May's opening price. So this is May, and right here it's May as well. On the daily time frames, obviously we don't want to see any candle trading below this down close candle. I am going to treat this candle as a proportion order block, right? Because for next week we don't have any high impact news drivers until Thursday and Friday. If everything goes well, we are going to have the uptrend on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then probably Thursday and Friday would form the high of the week. I would have to see where we open next week, and I would like to look for or to open a long position within this down close candle, right? We have taken out the highs and we have closed above for both ES and NQ. I'm anticipating this to provide support for the price to go higher. So I'm going to use the opening price of the daily candle here. Right, and let's go down into the lower time frames. On 6 hours, we have a clear BC for Nasdaq. On the ES, not too clear but we do have a BC right here within the down close candle. So I'm going to highlight that. Invalidation would be below this swing low. So to me, if we are bullish, I don't really want to see price coming down into this swing low here. 4 hours, do we have anything? We have this 4-hour fair value gap, right? Let's refine that. And what else? On the 1 hour, we have this swing low down here and here that forms the 4-hour fair value gap. 30 minutes, we have nothing much really for me to key off from. 15 minutes, same thing here. We do have SMT down here, right? 5 minutes, nothing as well. 1 minute. Alright, so completely nothing. Okay, so we already have this. Best case scenario, we open up within this candle, this down close candle, and we attempt to trade lower. Whether it uses the 6 hours fair value gap or the 4 hours fair value gap, both is fine, right? But because to me the higher time frames should be respected, so I'm going to lean on to the 6 hours fair value gap, which is right here. Right, I would like to see price trade into this fair value gap to offer higher prices, something like this, and preferably this fair value gap stays below the weekly opening price. Right, now if we are to use this fair value gap, obviously we would have the nearest swing low over here and over here on the hourly chart. Is that possible? Yes, I think that is totally possible, and if that's the case, then maybe we might make, or we might print an SMT with NQ making lower lows and ES making higher lows, right? Because right here, as you can see, we have this fair value gap down here. We could just utilize that fair value gap's high to send the price higher for ES, but for NQ we might want to take out the lows here, right? That would be a valid SMT for me, in my opinion. Alright, so next week, higher prices, near-term objective as mentioned, and for me personally, I would prefer to take everything off at the April's opening price, which would come in around here and here, right? And that is just my preference. On the monthly chart, I don't see anything yet, but let's take a look at the 3 averages. Yep, I don't really have anything here. Weekly. On the weekly, Dow Jones doesn't look that convincing for higher prices. So maybe we do get SMT on the highs on the higher time frame before lower prices, which is why I think that the April's opening price would be the best exit, right? So yeah, for me right now, what I see is the majority of the profits are in the long positions, so I would prefer to run them out with a deeper retracement. So this run lower, I would use it to engage or to bait in more traders to short the market, right? And their stops will be above here, the swing highs. Okay, and I want to run to their stops to accumulate more positions before running lower. So on the higher time frames, what I'm actually expecting is SMT, at least with the Dow Jones, right? For me, the Dow Jones should not make a higher high. For me, what can it do is to trade into this inefficiency here and then fail to take out this high, whereas NQ and ES, they are probably going to take out the high. That is just my opinion. Anything can happen, right? But to me, that is how I think it is going to play out, right? So everybody would be trying to short this move lower, but to me, stops are going to be taken before we even consider any form of should I say the real crash. Okay, so that's how I view the markets for now, and we shall see if it happens, right? Because for the next week we don't have any news, we don't have much news drivers, right? On the week following that we have CPI, so maybe CPI could be the news driver that sends the price higher into all-time highs, and then after that it just crashes. Okay, that could be a scenario as well that I'm willing to entertain, right? Using days quarterly theory, next week is Q1 of the month of May, so I'll have to see what the week presents, and the high of the week for next week and the low of the week for next week is very important, because that is Q1's highs and lows, right? So all I'm waiting for is next week, and then CPI is going to run out one side, either the high or the low first, and obviously the target, the real target, would be the opposite end. Alright, so yep, that is my plan for this entire month. The third week from 20th May to 26th of May, that week I think we're going to have a really nice distribution in continuation of the previous week after CPI. That is what I think, right? And the last week is Q4, right? So it could be two things depending on where the price is at a point of time. For me right now it's too far to see. I don't really have that far of a range, right? But for Dow Jones, I think the lows here, they are suspects, and for the monthly chart, Dow Jones should really trade into this low here. So I believe we're gonna see another low, another leg lower, right? For NQ and ES, I don't really have any levels here that I can key off from on the monthly. So the only and the most obvious point would be the 3 months fair value gap right down here. So that is what I'm looking at for the rest of Q2 of the year, basically from now to the end of June. I think it is possible that we would like to reach into this fair value gap for S&P and for Nasdaq, right? For Dow Jones, obviously right here, right? It just came too close to miss it. To me, this is suspect, right? So this tells me that we are probably going to go lower by the end of June. That would be the draw on liquidity for the three indices moving forward, right? So yep. And what else? Let's take a look at the dollar. Right, so the dollar on the monthly, for now it's not too clean, to be honest. If dollar is to be bullish, the month should not close below this week here. Best case scenario, it doesn't close below 50% of the wick, right? As you can see right here, we have tapped the 50% of the wick, and prices right now starting to trade higher. So this would be my invalidation on the monthly for the dollar. I would like to see the dollar close above the wick, okay, for the month of May. And I'm still anticipating higher prices for the dollar, right? So on a weekly chart, we have closed somewhere below the BC here. Personally, I don't like that, but Forex can be a little bit messy, right? So I wouldn't be too concerned about the precision of it, right? So right now, weekly seems like we are going lower, maybe to take out the lows here, and then we can form like an SMT with the other two currencies, mainly the pound and the euro. So this weekly's low is an important low to watch for heading on into next week and the week after that, right? So I would anticipate SMT on the lows, and then after that higher prices, obviously, unless we can get a closing on the monthly close below this level here that I've marked out, right? But the lower time frames should respect this level. As you can see on the weekly, it is respecting the level here. That is what I want to see, and that is something that validates the current bullish order flow, right? So I'm looking for this highs here, and above that highs will be here. Eventually, same thing as I've said in many months back, I'm looking for this high to be taken out, right? Because this high was the high that made the lows down here. So this high here on the higher time frames is an objective, right? Now with that said, bullish dollar, but maybe not for next week, but after next week, okay? We shall see how would the indices react. And I think that's about it for the dollar here. Right, so for fun, let's just go through Bitcoin. It's a little fast today. Right, so we already have SMT over here between Ethereum and Bitcoin. What I would like to see is if we get an SMT on this high right here, this swing high here. Okay, So I will be looking at this high and probably even this high actually, or maybe, all right, to keep it simple, this high. Okay, this high here, SMT. Bitcoin is supposedly the more bullish one, so I would like to see Ethereum make lower highs as compared to Bitcoin, and then we can continue to trade lower. Because for me, I think Bitcoin would like to trade into this inversion fair value gap. Right? Ethereum, okay, in the case of Ethereum, this is the last candle here on the monthly time frame. Okay, so this month's candle, if you're bullish, you want to see it close above the fair value gap, which is above 3057.5. If it is unable to close above, it signals a weakness in the current order flow, right? That is for Ethereum. For Bitcoin, it's still pretty much safe for now, right? Because as you can tell, it's more bullish than Ethereum. So if you're going to open a long position on Bitcoin, you wouldn't necessarily demand too much, right, from Bitcoin, because you don't have to. Right, so that's for Bitcoin. Crypto, let's take a look at SOL. Solana. Coinbase. Solana. Alright, I don't like how this down close candle is closing below the 50% of this inversion fair value gap all the way down, you know. I don't like it how it closed below the 50%. This candle here has to close above the inversion fair value gap to validate that Solana is going to go higher, right? The final invalidation to me would be this wick right here. Any closing prices below 50% of this wick, I think, can go down to fill up all these inefficiencies. Right, this is for Solana. Right, and I think that's about it for this session here. Alright, I hope you enjoyed it and have a great weekend. I'll see you in the next week. No, I'm sorry. Today is Sunday in Singapore, so maybe the weekend is over. Right, but anyways, good luck trading for next week. Have a great day. Okay.